Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm George Connolly with Scratch Golf Tips. Today we're looking at the golf swing of Wyndham Clark. Wyndham Clark, obviously one of the best golfers in the world right now, has been top 10 in the rankings quite a bit. 3 wins to his name, all in the last couple of years, and obviously the big one being the major last year, winning the US Open. So let's take a look at Clark's golf swing and some things that you can learn from Clark's motion that you can implement into your own golf swing to become a better golfer. Let's start off with the address positioning. This is a very athletic address position. I know that Clark was a very good athlete in other sports, and you can clearly see that athleticism peek through just in the way that he simply addresses the golf ball. Pretty good knee bend, a little bit forward in the upper body coming over the ball, which we'll explain a little bit later on in his golf swing itself. But all in all, it's a very comfortable position. The back isn't too bent, nor is he too upright in the knees, which are 2 things that we really want to be working away from in that setup positioning. So in looking at his video in real-time speed, this is a slightly faster golf swing than the average on tour. Wyndham Clark has said it himself that he likes to think fast, play fast, and the golf swing kind of reflects that. Now, if there's any debate between what's better, a fast golf swing or a slow golf swing, that's kind of a pointless debate because it depends on the golfer, it depends on the mechanics of the golf swing. For someone like Wyndham Clark, who clearly has exceptional hand-eye coordination, he can certainly do just fine, as he has done on the PGA Tour, with this faster golf swing. And having a faster takeaway can really allow some players to generate some more power through the ball. By taking the club back pretty quickly, they feel more in power and they feel a little bit faster and more aggressive through the transitionary move. And that's great. That is definitely a positive to having that faster takeaway. One thing that we really want to work away from, and one of the big negatives of having a faster takeaway, is it can be a little bit easier to get out of sync. For instance, with Wyndham Clark, with that really fast takeaway, occasionally his upper body will get even faster than the rest of his body. And when that upper body begins his swing before his arms and hands have caught up, then he's going to start coming across the ball. And when we see that wipey fade that we've seen Wyndham Clark have a little bit off the tee, by and large, Wyndham is an excellent driver of the golf ball, but occasionally when he gets a little bit out of sync, you'll see him hit these push fades, which often miss the fairway right and put him in some tough spots. So with that faster takeaway, that faster swing rhythm, just keep in mind that you have to be working pretty hard to keep yourself in sync. Let's take a look at this transitionary move. One thing that I always like to take a look at is when that club gets to about hip height, how is that club face oriented, and how can we compare that to the posture of the golfer? So you look at Wyndham when that club is right around hip height, that club pretty nicely shares a line with the posture of his spine angle, which is what we want. If anything, that club face is slightly closed, but because Wyndham will often come across the ball just a little bit, that kind of offsets and will allow for a straighter ball flight when he's really on. So that's not an issue at all. Now diving into this transitionary move, I know that in a lot of these swing analysis, I often talk about the leveraging of the ground. Wyndham Clark may have the best leveraging of the ground of any golf swing in professional golf right now. Just look how much he squats into this ball. He has very big, strong legs, and when he comes into that ball, look at his head come down as those hands come down. That's just his way of really anchoring those legs into the ground and allowing himself to let those hips open up, and then right at the impact positioning, that left leg, his front leg, completely straightens out and just creates an absolutely immense amount of power. Clark has some of the highest ball speeds on tour, consistently one of the longest drivers on the tour, and although he is athletic and strong, he's 6 foot. He's not one of these huge guys like Dustin Johnson or Jon Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, who use their size to their advantage. He's just, the way that he leverages the ground, take a look at how those legs interact with the ground throughout that downswing and a little bit past the through swing. It's a thing of beauty, and I think everyone can learn. If you're looking to get some extra power and you don't think that your lower body is engaged enough, this is absolutely a motion through impact to copy. Now, a few other notes on Clark's swing progression. In some interviews that he's done, I've heard Clark talk about how, over information and over analyzing has affected his swing very negatively. When you're a professional professional golfer and your life, your professional being relies on this sport, it's very easy to overanalyze what you're doing, get too over technical. We've seen it happen to someone like Jordan Spieth, who really fell into a big rut. Tiger Woods even had points of his career where he overanalyzed his swing. Clark certainly did. I think he's well past that. He's doing very well mentally, working with a mental coach. But in your own game, just understand that, it's very easy with all the numbers and video recording to overanalyze what we're doing. Be sure to keep it simple. Always be working on improvements and tweaking, but don't try and reinvent the wheel every time you go out there. There's a great golf quote that a lot of people reference, but you want to be playing golf, not playing golf swing. So just focus on the game itself and what your goal is, and try not to get too caught up in the actual mechanics of your golf swing. Finally, the last thing I want to bring up that Wyndham Clark does that I think so many amateurs can learn from and improve on is Wyndham Clark often likes to be neutral with his golf swing, meaning that it's a one-plane golf swing. He comes through the ball at a neutral angle. He's not coming too far into out or out to in. And when he comes off of that, if he's slightly deviating from that, say he's playing a pretty big fade, what he does is he goes to the driving range and intentionally hits really big draws, even hooks, just to kind of do the exact opposite of what he's leaning towards, and that has helped neutralize him. So at home, say you're struggling with a hook off the tee, go to the driving range and try and intentionally hit a slice. Open up your stance, open up your club face, swing out to in across the ball, and just try and get a feeling for that slice. And when you take that feeling of the exaggerated slice and you compare it to the hooks that you may already be hitting, you might see a nice middle ground and see some improvement. I hope you learned something from this video about Wyndham Clark's golf swing and how it can help your own golf game. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. As always, thank you all very much for watching. Play well and take care.